They make this much money. These are the concerns they have. These are the things they like. These are the things they dislike. Here's how I can help them. And when we know that, we can help our small business owners stay on track because it means that everything that we do on the marketing side is geared towards this buyer persona or buyer personas.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome back to the My Future Business Show. My name is Rick Nusky and I'm on the line with Marc Apple from forwardpush.com. How are you, Marc?
I'm great, Rick. How's it going today?
Oh, we're doing very well. Got 2 feet and a heartbeat. Cannot complain. Now, Marc and I were speaking a little earlier about hosting and some of the challenges it can cause for your business. And interestingly, from that point on, Marc was talking about a recent client and how he helped them move over not only hosting, but started to do all their marketing and all these wonderful things which we're going to be focusing on today. But before we jump into digital marketing and social media, Marc, love to learn a little bit about you and how you got to be what you're doing, what you do today.
Sure. Great question, Rick. So I've always sort of been into marketing ever since I was a teenager. I fell in love with music at an early age, and I decided to start a magazine when I was 14 years old. And by the time I got out of high school, you could get that magazine all over the U.S. I just created this distribution network where it was available, where people would buy it. And back in those days, people would actually send you a letter and ask you to send them the magazine in the mail to them. And that started my career in marketing, which eventually led to me working for various record labels and radio stations doing their marketing and promotion around the U.S. So I lived in plenty of different states throughout the U.S., all the way from Detroit to Colorado to Seattle to San Francisco. And now I find myself in Atlanta, where I currently run the ad agency, like you said, Forward Push.
Yep, that's great. And I've been looking at your bio. You've worked with some pretty major corporations. Has that helped shape your perspective of digital marketing landscape and the marketing process overall?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of times when I'm meeting with a small business client, I'll share with them my background of working at these major companies. And I really believe that whatever they're doing on Wall Street and the ivory towers and these big high-rise buildings, you can do on a local level, right? On Main Street.
Yep.
Certainly the budgets are different and maybe the tactics are slightly different. But when you think about it, that big company, they're blogging. So why shouldn't the small company on Main Street be able to run a blog? Those big companies are sending out emails, right? Newsletters. Why shouldn't small businesses be able to have an email newsletter program? And the same thing when you think about video marketing or even just doing this type of podcast. This isn't reserved just for big companies, this type of technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually available to everyone. And so I really stress that to my clients and to prospects when we're talking to them, like it is a level playing field. We always hear that the internet is what sort of made the world flat, right?
Yep.
Everyone has access to it. And really, if someone else is doing it, you can do the same. And that's what I try to tell my clients. And that really shapes how I think about what we can do.
Yeah, great insight. Thank you so much, Marc, for sharing that. This is an audience that is small to medium-sized businesses, startup entrepreneurs, Marc. They love this sort of content. Now, in terms of being able to promote your small business online, what are some of the pitfalls and some of the benefits that they should be looking out for if this is brand new to a business?
Yeah. So the pitfalls, I had this conversation with someone earlier today. We were talking about their marketing. It was a small business owner. And throughout the conversation, they kept bringing up what their competitor was doing and how successful they thought it was. And I kept telling them that, we're only looking at it one side. We're just seeing what someone's doing. We actually don't know their metrics. We don't know their analytics. We don't really know how successful they are. We're kind of just going on sort of a gut. Oh, they have a pretty website. Or, oh, they're always sending out emails. But the reality might be that no one ever goes to their website.
Mm.
Maybe no one ever opens their emails. So I always find that a lot of small business owners sort of get in this trap of what is everyone else doing versus what should I be doing?
Yeah, it's funny because I used to look outwards, and I ended up giving up on worrying about everybody else's, I guess, practices in their business, and it frees you up, doesn't it?
It most certainly does. I always try to remind our clients and myself, even with running our own agency, is like stay in your own lane. It's something that I say to my team a lot, and I'll say it to our clients. If we focus on what we want to do, or what the small business owner that's listening now wants to accomplish, then you really don't have to worry about what anyone else is doing. Because really at the end of the day, the people that are listening right now, they know who they're trying to reach best. They know who their customers are, who their clients are, and they should know how to speak to them. And so if the guy down the street's doing something a little bit different, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder, there are so many avenues that a small business can go down, Mark, in terms of their choices. Um, it's a worry for some of the people that I speak with. They say there's so many platforms, and I really can't be everywhere all at once. What would you say to people when they ask you that sort of question?
Yeah. So I think the first thing to start with in that case is with Google. Google has so many different free things and that you can use to figure out what your next move should be in marketing. So whether that's Google Analytics, look how your site's performing, people are coming to your site, what are the most viewed pages on your site, really trying to figure out from a high level what's actually happening and what's working. That's one way to help steer which direction you should go in. Google also has Google My Business, right? This is the online directory for every business. You can go ahead and register your business with Google under this Google My Business. You can put photos of your business. You can ask your customers to place reviews. I really look at this as sort of the first step in becoming involved on having your business on the internet. And it's $0. It takes a
Yes.
little bit of time, but it starts to get you into the game.
Yes. Do you think, it's a question I've often asked myself, given that Google is this behemoth and they have, I guess, almost a monopoly over this environment, is it good not to have these choices and just go with Google? Or are there any other options? And what do you say to people that sort of ask that question?
Yeah. So I believe, and just like you said, Rick, is certainly that they are having a large chunk of control over the internet. But it's for a reason. I mean, how many times have you said to someone, just go Google it? Uh,
Yes.
right?
Every
And
day.
so, right. So we sort of all have to play the game and me included, right? I
Yeah.
also own a small business.
Yeah.
So I think everything sort of starts there. Once you've kind of have that footprint down, so now you've got a Google My Business page, you're posting photos to it, you're getting reviews. There certainly are other places where a business can promote itself. So there's online directories, whether that's Yelp or maybe due to your industry, there might be a specific directory where you can have a profile where your customers can leave reviews.
Hmm.
The whole idea behind both of those is for people to find you and then validate by seeing what other people have said about you so that they know that they want to work with you. So that's kind of taking it from one step to going to another. So we went from Google My Business to being listed somewhere else.
Yeah.
And from there, really making sure that your website is solid. And then after that, it's social media. I kind of look at things in an order of progression.
Hmm.
So the first thing would be making sure you've got this Google My Business page really solid. It's updated because it is the first thing that someone most likely is going to find for you.
It's about that.
And
That's more about the about you type of content at that stage.
yep, exactly. That's going to, have your phone number. It's going to have your web address. It's going to have the hours that you are open. People can write in questions, or as a business owner, you can actually post your own questions and answers. So you're really helping the consumer start to figure out who you are right away. And that I kind of look at also as like self-selection. Is the right person going to be calling you for your services? Allow Google to help you. And it's at no charge again. So it's almost the perfect tool for a small business owner.
Yeah, that's great insight. So I'm sitting here thinking about this idea of self-selection. Um, and then it sort of made me think about business processes and how you can almost automate much of your digital marketing. What's your views on the automation and self-selection processes?
Yep. So huge fan of marketing automation. We not only use it for ourselves, but we use it for the majority of our clients.
Hmm.
The idea is just to make it simple. Every small business owner I talk to has never once said to me, I got into this so that I could do marketing. And also, right? They got into
True.
it because they love, being a chiropractor. They loved being a real estate agent. They loved being whatever it is they do. They never once say, oh, I got into being a chiropractor so I could do email newsletters. So when you have automation in place and you
Hmm.
have it on your website for someone to sign up to receive your email newsletter, and it's automated that a welcome email goes out to them, welcoming them to being part of your subscriber base,
Hmm.
you don't have to do anything, whether that person signs up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning. That's just sort of one example of a task that you can automate. Uh,
And there are several, aren't there? And they're great. There are some great platforms around. I'm sitting here, Mark. Just quickly, I thought to myself, marketing and sales, they're related, but they're different. How much of each does someone need to know, especially if they're a sort of 1-2 person organization?
yeah. I think the marketing part is figuring out what works for you best. There's no there's no secret combination, and I think there is really no solid combination to tell someone. I know all the small business owners that I work with, everything's a little bit different for each person based on their needs. And that's for the marketing side. The sales side is really just being a great people person. And I think anyone can do that.
Hmm.
If someone's coming to you for your services, they really just have to know, like, and trust you to sign up, to close the deal, to register for whatever it is that you're selling.
Hmm.
So I look at it that way, that sales is really just people to people. People love doing business with people they like.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if somebody's typically an offline business, Mark, they're a traditional bricks and mortar type of business. Is it valid for them to be considering doing any sort of digital marketing at all?
I think 100%, 100%. I was reading this statistic recently that said most consumers every single day receive like 4,000 plus marketing messages. So when you think about that number, like how does that even happen? And I was trying to figure it out one day for myself. And so I woke up in the morning, like everyone, I grabbed my phone and I opened Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And next thing I know, there's a bunch of ads there. So within my first 5 minutes of being awake, I'm already starting to see marketing messages come right to me.
Yes.
All right. And then I go downstairs and I turn on the TV for the morning news. There are ads. So all of these marketing messages start coming to me, right? I listen to a podcast. If it's sponsored, there's ads. I get on the internet, all of a sudden there's ads. And you can see how this just stacks up. And when you think about it, you're probably like 4,000. I hit that by lunchtime, right?
Yes.
So, right. So when we talk about this brick and mortar, well, unless I'm actually driving to you, like you're a destination, so
Hmm.
I have an appointment to see you or I need the widget that you're selling, how else am I going to be reminded of you? Because we all are online all
Yep.
day long,
Yep.
practically, right? Whether that's scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or any of the social medias, LinkedIn, etc. We're always there. And so for a brick and mortar to ignore what's happening online, whether that's having an active Facebook page, Instagram, whatever the social media would make sense for them, or running ads, I think ignoring that, you're really ignoring a large segment, in fact, probably most of the population, to remind them about what great work you do.
Yeah, and this is wonderful insight for everybody who's on the show today because, if you, I've often said, if you're not online, where are you? In fact, 21st century businesses just need to accept, in many respects, Mark, that there is an online component to their business. Now, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you've talked about some of the platforms, social media platforms, and getting involved, and it makes me wonder. should you have your own website so that you own that property, so that if somebody changes their terms and conditions, that you can continue to promote your business? What's your view on that?
100%. I am all in favor of people having their own property and then using the rental properties to enhance what they own. And so by owned, I mean a website.
Mm-hmm.
And the rentals, I look at the Facebooks, the Twitters, the LinkedIns, the Instagrams of the world. Uh, you know, for the agency, we do our own podcast as well. And this morning, the topic that I talked about was that we're now starting to see on Instagram, there's a little bit less organic reach happening. So we saw this with Facebook, right? Facebook originally told every small business, come on, get a Facebook business page.
Yeah.
You don't need a website. Get as many likes as you can, and we're just going to show your business off to everyone. And then suddenly the tables were turned, right? Now, as every small business owner knows, a percentage, a very small percentage of your likes now see your post, unless you want to play the advertising game on Facebook. And that's certainly fine. That's the model. But Instagram, owned by Facebook, we're now starting to see that as well. So what do you do if you've put all your eggs in one basket, whether that's Facebook or Instagram, and all of a sudden you can't talk to your audience anymore without paying? Wouldn't you rather have them all come to your website? Wouldn't you rather have their email addresses so that you could email them knowing that at least you're going to hit everyone's inbox versus a post that you work so hard to create, whether it's graphics, videos, or even just text that possibly no one's going to see unless you put some dollars behind it?
Yeah, it's clear to me that Forward Push has a great team. I've checked out the team there, and you're doing some wonderful things. When somebody new comes to you and they say, "Hey, look, I'm a small, medium-sized business and I need your help," I'd like to shift the focus on the processes that you take them through.
Sure. Yep. So we get those calls quite often, and a lot of what we do, I think, in the beginning of our relationships with anyone is discovery.
Mm-hmm.
The foundation of the agency is really to spend extra time with someone to become their marketing team, whether that's a small business of one owner or 5 people working at that small business. And we take the time to not only look at their website, we'll look at their Google Analytics, we'll look at their social media platforms. We spend a lot of time asking them questions and really figuring out what those answers are. And that just has to do with their website and some of those social channels. But we also do something that is a little bit unique as an agency that likes working with small business and medium-sized businesses, is we start to dive into what we call buyer personas. So each one of our prospective clients gets a buyer persona workbook for them to fill out. And this buyer persona workbook is their homework for them really to study what type of clients do they actually want to do business with. Because a lot of times, if you ask a small business owner, who do you want to come in? They'll say, well, anyone that wants to buy or anyone that wants to need. The problem with that is anyone is not a good answer.
No.
Right? But a lot of small business owners think that anyone is an acceptable answer. So this buyer persona homework really allows them to drill down to really say, you know what, I want this type of person. They're this age, they're this gender, they make this much money. These are the concerns they have. These are the things they like. These are the things they dislike. Here's how I can help them. And when we know that, we can help our small business owners stay on track, because it means that everything that we do on the marketing side is geared towards this buyer persona or buyer personas. It also helps them when they come up with those, crazy ideas that small business owners will all the time, which we certainly love, but we can always go back to the buyer persona workbook and say, does this fall in line with actually who we're trying to reach? Yes. Or is this, an oddball thing that we're just chasing the squirrel, right?
Yeah, and once you've narrowed down that focus, I suspect everything for the client becomes much easier.
Much easier. And it's amazing the feedback that we get from clients after they fill out the buyer persona workbook, because most people don't do it. It's almost like the small business owner that doesn't do the business plan, which
Mm-hmm.
we certainly, everyone I know is sort of guilty of that, whether it's even just doing the one-page business plan or the 50-page business plan. It's something that small business owners tend to skip.
Yep.
And this buyer persona, I think, is equally as important. So with our clients, it's something that we go through every 6 months and every year with them. So we're constantly updating it because we know business models change, and certainly the type of people that you're attracting changes.
Mm-hmm.
But at least for a consistent amount of months, we need them to be focused, and we need us to be focused as well.
Yeah, I often think about the investment in time and money, and I think to myself, how can I be the most efficient to get the maximum return on my time and money investment? Um, what's the process that you take someone through to help them understand the benefit of working with Forward Push?
Mm-hmm. So part of the beginning of working with us is setting a benchmark, whether that's looking at their website and determining how they rank within a Google search. So
Mm-hmm.
some keyword research. We do a competitive analysis for them. So we're looking at where their competitors rank within Google. We can also look at their competitors' social media accounts. And we start really laying a path to say, okay, here's where we are at day one. We can estimate to say, here we are and where we'd like to be 3 months in, 6 months in, 12 months. So we start to give them a realistic path so that they can see the return on the investment. Part of that and our ability is to speak to them and make sure that they understand what's the average lifetime value of one of their customers.
Right.
So while they're spending money on marketing, how many customers do we need to bring in? How many customers need to convert to a new customer for this to have a positive return on their investment? So we look at that as well, because we know with small businesses, it's not a blank check, right? It's not an unlimited amount of marketing money. And there is someone that's actually watching how much is being spent.
Yes.
Maybe on the larger side where it's a corporation and maybe there's not so much care being given. So we're extremely sensitive to that. So when I talk to a small business and we start looking at lifetime value, we have to start to figure out if you're going to spend $3,000 a month on marketing, 2,000, whatever the number might be, 10,000. How many customers do we need to generate in order to just make that up?
Yep.
And then we start to figure out what the plan and the strategy is going to be. Because at a small business level, sometimes it actually doesn't make sense. You might not be able to do blogging or have a social media strategy. You might just be able to do some of those free things we talked about
Mm-hmm.
until you can raise the value of your customers.
Yeah, you talked about earlier some keyword research. I notice here in the breakdown that if listeners to the show give you their website address, you'll help them do some keyword research.
For sure. Yep. So anyone that reaches out to me personally, it's Marc, M-A-R-C, at forwardpush.com. Send me your website and I'll be happy to figure out what are the top 5 keywords that your website ranks for.
Fantastic.
And if you'd like to send me one of your competitors, I'll even do the same. I think it's really, and the reason we do it, and because I really feel like it's eye-opening. A lot of people will come to us and say, oh, I rank number 1 for this. And I always ask them, well, how many times have you searched for that yourself? And it's always them searching for it. And Google, we know, will give you the best answer you're looking for.
It'll give you what you want.
They'll give you exactly what you want. No one's usually unhappy with the first or second choice, right?
No.
When it comes to search. So it's always eye-opening because we're going to use professional tools to really show. So, we'll get those conversations where I'll hear, oh, well, my competitor is always number 1 for XYZ and, XYZ town. And we'll actually be able to show them, you know what? Actually not true. You just keep searching for their name, so they're number 1.
Yes. There are so many different rabbit holes we could have gone down today on today's call, Marc. This is such an expansive topic that, you know what, we can't ignore it. It's there. It's going to be omnipresent. We need to be educated. We need to know what we're doing. And instead of wasting time as small to medium-sized business owners, I definitely recommend that you reach out to Marc. Now, Marc, when people want to work with you, where exactly are they going to find you?
Yep. So on the internet,
On the internet,
forward,
funny that.
yeah, funny that, believe it, and it's very simple, forwardpush.com.
There you go.
And yep, yep, very simple. There's a contact page there. And also, of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and it's all under the name Forward Push.
Well, there you go. It's that easy. It is that easy to get this started for your business. Definitely reach out to Marc. I'll be making the links available back to Marc and his wonderful team. Marc, thank you so very much for spending some time with me on the My Future Business Show today.
You got it, Rick. It was my pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.